Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another MLS update live stream. A lot has happened since a week ago. Some moves have officially been announced. There's been some surprise sells like Cucho Hernandez to Real Betis, which we'll talk about that tonight. Talk about the trade of Jack McGlynn or the sell of Jack McGlynn to the Philadelphia Union. There's several things that have happened tonight. Yes, and CONCACAF Champions Cup is on tonight. I think it's only Liga MX teams. I don't think MLS actually plays until the 18th, if I'm not mistaken, which will be interesting to see what happens. But I appreciate you guys coming in tonight. We're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about. So make sure you like the stream down below, share with a friend. Let's grow the audience as much as we can. A lot of things are happening. The season is only, I don't know, 2.5 weeks away, which is kind of crazy because I really miss MLS. And I'm sure you guys do as well. It feels like the offseason gets longer and longer each year. I actually went on Glenn Davis's show tonight in Houston, which was interesting. He asked me a little bit about MLS and fan bases and just the game, my perspective on where it's going, which was a really fun interview. So you guys should check that out if you get a chance. Before we get started, we got a couple comments. Mr. says, "Hi, Will. Appreciate you for stopping by tonight, Mr. Soccer Production says, "Who's watching the Forge FC game?" Matthew says, "Heck yeah, more CONCACAF Champions Cup tonight." Cringe, member of the channel, says, "Hey, Will, Forge FC is looking good." Well, that is good for them, obviously. I don't know who they're playing tonight, but that is good for them that they'll have a good showing. Andrew of Metro Bulls TV says, "What's up, bro? Appreciate you for stopping by tonight. And also congratulations on your channel as well." Jace Collins says, "Feels good to finally be back for a stream." Yeah, and it's also, I feel better too. I had the flu. I'm getting back to normal now, which is it feels a lot better and easier to do this when I'm not sick. So I'm thankful for that. I got my voice back. I'm not as congested as I was a week ago, and I just feel better overall. So this is going to be a very enjoyable stream. Isaiah says, "Fire sale in Columbus in full effect." Yes, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but yes, the Columbus Crew are having a fire sale and getting rid of all of their or most of their key pieces, and it's very puzzling. And I don't exactly understand what they're doing. Cringe says they're playing Monterey. Hopefully they beat them. Yes, hell yeah. We need all Liga MX teams to lose. Do not want Liga MX to succeed. Kaylin says, "Why I think you meant Glenn Davis, the NBA player." Yeah, not Big Baby. Not Big Baby. Glenn Davis, the Houston Dynamo legend. Matthew Shaw says, "Really late to do this as well." The Champions Cup? Yeah, so let's get into this because I think this is a big deal. The Columbus Crew have sold Cucho Hernandez to Real Betis. And this kind of came out of thin air, honestly, like came out of the blue. Now, Cucho Hernandez was rumored to possibly be leaving the Columbus Crew. There were some offers this summer, but from what I remember, the Columbus Crew were not interested in selling Cucho Hernandez unless it was around the $20 to $25 million mark. So that was a pretty hefty fee. And that's why we didn't see a transaction. Plus, they wanted to make a run in the MLS Cup playoffs and try to repeat. Obviously, they lost in the first round to the New York Red Bulls. But that was a steep price tag for Cucho Hernandez. But this is a guy who's 25 years old. He is the runner-up in the MLS Cup, or excuse me, the MLS MVP race, only losing to Messi, which, that's a not bad company to be with, right? That's not necessarily something to be ashamed of, to lose to Messi for the MVP race. But he was the most pivotal part in the Columbus Crew's win in 2023, the Leagues Cup win in 2024, and the CONCACAF Champions Cup run in 2024. The loss to oh God, who did they lose to? The team in Liga MX is slipping my mind at the moment. Pachuca. They lost to Pachuca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. Either way, this is a very, very hot commodity, well-known player, consistent scorer and playmaker in Major League Soccer, and they sell him for 13 million euros, is at least what this, according to Transfer Market. So it feels like they completely got fleeced for him, to be honest with you. Now, there are add-ons that could raise this up to a higher fee, but we're talking about the runner-up MVP, 25 years old, proven goal scorer. I feel like the Columbus Crew got a bad deal with this. I don't think that they got nearly as much money as what they could have gotten for Cucho Hernandez. And this is another important thing. I think another Major League Soccer team would have spent more money on Cucho Hernandez than Real Betis. Now, I heard that Cucho Hernandez wanted to be paid more and that the Crew were kind of reluctant to pay him maybe what he was wanting. He was making around $2.8 million last year for the Columbus Crew. I think he was wanting to be paid closer to 5 to 6 million, be a top 5 to 10 highest paid player in Major League Soccer. I don't think that they could get that to get to an agreement for that. So they sold him. I think he only had 1 year left on his deal with the Crew, for the 2025 season. But you would think that an MLS team would have been willing to pay 13 million euros for Cucho Hernandez, especially with what he did. I mentioned this earlier about Atlanta United maybe going that route instead of signing Emmanuel Latte Lath, which is another player we'll talk about because we got to mention him, right? We mentioned him several times. You know how I feel about him, but we're going to mention that because that deal officially went through. But either way, when you look at Cucho Hernandez and what he has done in Major League Soccer, the consistency, the goal scoring efficiency, the playmaking, the assist, everything, you add that into the equation. 25 years old, selling him for 13 million euros seems like they absolutely got fleeced. So Cucho Hernandez scored 9 goals in 16 matches in 2022, half a season because he came in August from Watford. He scored 16 goals in 2023 in 27 appearances and 19 goals in 27 appearances in 2024. He scored 44 goals in 70 appearances for the Columbus Crew. He's a proven player. He's somebody that is a lethal goal scorer, lethal playmaker, someone that the opposing defenders are scared to go against in Major League Soccer. There are so many teams that could have used his services. It's very, very frustrating. What do you guys think? Let me know. Do you think that the Columbus Crew got fleeced and what they got for Cucho Hernandez? Was it a good deal or a bad deal for the Columbus Crew? I want to know what you guys think. Good deal or bad deal for the Columbus Crew when they sold Cucho Hernandez? I think they could have got more, honestly. I think they definitely could have gotten more. And you look at, like, someone mentioned Joveljic. Joveljic sold for $4 million, which, that's, I think that was kind of like a low ball, or not as high of an offer of what they could have got for him. I think they could have sold him for more. But Cucho Hernandez is a better player than Joveljic, so I wouldn't even probably compare those two players. Jay says no European team yet is going to pay an MLS team the player actual value yet. I disagree. I mean, they paid $27 million. They paid $27 million for Miguel Almiron back in 2019. I think they definitely would pay $20 million for Cucho Hernandez. There's an inflation on strikers. If you can score goals in any league, you have a value. So, and he's only 25 years old. He's a Colombian international. I think that they definitely could have sold him for more than what they did. OEM says Cucho probably wanted to leave too. He did want to leave, but it was more because of what they were willing to pay him. But I do think he wanted to go back to Europe. But I think that if an MLS team was willing to pay him his fair market value of like his salary, he would have been more than willing to stay in Major League Soccer. Jordan says, definitely feels bad to me, but now L can be the golden boy, hopefully. Oh, Emmanuel Latte Lath. We'll get into that in a minute. Jay says, leaning towards bad deal as they deserve more, but European teams need to see MLS guys do well in Europe before they start paying the higher end of the fee. People were already shocked that Real Betis spent $13 million on an MLS guy. Well, let's compare the last guy that came to MLS and left MLS that went to Europe was Tati Castellanos, and Tati Castellanos did really good at Girona, and then he got a deal to Lazio. He sold for, let's see. So Tati Castellanos sold for 15 million euros to Lazio in the 2023 summer. I think Tati Castellanos is not nearly as good as what Cucho Hernandez is, and he is around the same age. He's the same age of when he left for Lazio as what Cucho is leaving for Real Betis. So I honestly believe that they could have got. He's a better player than um, he's a better player than Tati Castellanos. Speaking of Cucho Hernandez, so I think they got fleeced in that deal. Personally, Matthew Shaw says I feel bad for Crew fans. Yeah, and we'll talk about the next move for them as well. Kalen says kind of crazy. We got more for Jordi Petrovic than they got for Cucho Hernandez. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, Petrovic sold for like what 18 million for the Revs. I mean, that's just absurd. John Rollins says Crew in for Evander now too. I don't think so. I think Evander is more debt. I think he is likely to go to Cincinnati, which we'll talk about that too with the Lucho Acosta, the Lucho Acosta saga. We'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. Hope the LA Galaxy can succeed this year. Yes, we'll talk about the other move that the Columbus Crew made because we'll stay on topic with them. But before we do, we got 51 in the chat, guys. We only have 15 likes. Let's get those likes up. Smash the like button down below. Let's try to get to 100 likes on the stream. We've done a good job. We've hit 100 likes or more on every stream we've done this transfer window. So let's keep it up. Let's hit 100 likes. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're like 5 away from 5,600. You know our goal is to hit 6,000 by MLS opening day. And also, consider being a member of the channel. Only 10 cents a day, and it helps us out if you like the content. We had a members-only chat last night for 30 minutes. Only members were invited. It was very fun. It was the first one we've done. We're going to try to do those once every couple weeks. So consider being a member if you haven't already in the link down below. Okay, so moving on. Another move that the Columbus Crew made today was they traded Christian Ramirez to the LA Galaxy. Now, Christian Ramirez has been a very, very clutch, important player for the Columbus Crew since he came in 2023. Now, he only has 16 goals in 53 matches, but he has been a super sub and started in place of Cucho Hernandez and just started in general when they go 2 strikers up top for the Columbus Crew. Now, the LA Galaxy traded for Christian Ramirez because they have a void, a hole up top when they sold Jovic to Sporting Kansas City last week for $4 million. Now, Christian Ramirez is going to be good enough to be the starter, the stopgap striker in the meantime until they can get that U22 in for the LA Galaxy, which I don't know who it's going to be yet, but I know from based on the people I've talked to, it's going to be a U22 replacing Jovic up top eventually when they find the right guy. But they have an MLS veteran in Christian Ramirez who gets to return home to Los Angeles. He's 33 years old. I think they gave it $500K in GAM for him, $250 guaranteed, and I think the rest is with incentive base. He has 16 goals for the Crew, 8 for the Dynamo, 6 for LAFC, 21 for Minnesota United. Now, that's when Minnesota United was in MLS. He had 50 when they were in the NASL. So this is a guy who's got close to 50. I'm not trying to do math on air, like on live on the spot. Let's see, 27, 8, 30. Okay, so he does have over 50 goals. He got 51 goals in Major League Soccer, 50 plus goals. He's scored a lot of goals in Major League Soccer. He's good enough to get the job done. This is a good depth piece for the team, especially since they're going to be trying to make a run at the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I like this trade. I think that Christian Ramirez to the LA Galaxy definitely is a good deal. Now, as far as the Crew, I think it's a bad deal because they just sold Cucho Hernandez and they just sold his backup / starting partner up top. The only person they have left now is Diego Rossi and Darlington Nagbe, but this is a very puzzling move on their accord because it just doesn't make sense why they would get rid of him when they're already weaker up top. So I want to know what you guys think. Who won this trade? Did the Crew win this trade or did the Galaxy win this trade for Christian Ramirez? The Galaxy gave up $250K in GAM. I think it could be up to $500K if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, the Crew gave up Christian Ramirez. Who do you guys think won this trade? The Crew or the LA Galaxy in the Christian Ramirez trade to the LA Galaxy? I think that the Galaxy definitely won this trade because how weak the Crew are up top now. I think they definitely won this trade. I don't understand why they would get rid of him. I don't understand why they'd get rid of him, especially with the success he's had under Wilfred Nancy. I don't like that trade at all. especially for the low amount of GAM. But the Galaxy definitely needed somebody because Miguel Berry proved that he is not good enough to be the starting striker for the LA Galaxy. So I think the Galaxy won this trade pretty significant. Like I think they won it pretty overwhelmingly, honestly. And I don't know how many goals he'll score for the Galaxy. He could score 10 to 15 if he starts most of the games. But my belief is, like I said earlier, that they are going to sign a U22 striker. They're going to pay a pretty hefty fee for somebody very good. They're going to put them in between Gabriel Peck, Joseph Paintsil, Ricky Puig will eventually come back. And this team is going to be very, very special. They're going to be very, very lethal. And it's not going to it really doesn't even matter who's up top because of how much service they're going to have. Cringe says, wow, Columbus is cooked this season. I can't believe they sold Christian Ramirez. Shaking my head. I agree. It doesn't make any sense. Jace says, David Costa is getting closer to Portland. I read somewhere. I haven't seen anything about that, but I'll check into that after the show. Brandon Davis says, Rossi getting sold next. Yeah, it feels like they're just cleaning house. It feels like they're getting rid of all their important core pieces that led to that Columbus Crew run to in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2024. Feels like they're having a fire sale. John says, Crew cooking up big moves. They got to replace these guys, surely. Yeah, that's another interesting question because, they lost Tim Baspachenko, who was the general manager of the team or the president. He left for a position with the Las Vegas Golden Aces or the Golden Knights, the Golden Knights. And I think the Aces are owned by the same ownership group. He's over that now. So he's out of it. He's not, doesn't have anything to do with the Crew anymore. I don't really know who's running the team at this point. I don't know how much influence Wilfred Nancy has. I don't know if the new GM has all the influence. Either way, it doesn't make sense to sell all these players if you don't have anything lined up. I agree with that, John. I don't know what they're doing, but as of right now, the Crew went from being a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference to being a fringe playoff team. I mean, Diego Rossi's good, but he's not that good. He's not going to be able to propel this team to the playoffs by himself. I mean, they have a lot of work to do with everything that they've lost. And there's talks about Steven Moreira being sold to a Brazilian team who was the defender of the year. I'm not really sure what they're doing and why they're trying to sell all these players, but it is very odd, especially for a team that has been so dominant the last 2 or 3 years. I don't really know what their plan is, but it is puzzling. A lot of movement from the Columbus Crew, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what they end up doing with these replacements and all the players they're losing. Matthew says, Galaxy, I'm curious who the Crew are having. He thinks the Galaxy won the trade. He says, I'm curious who the Crew are having in mind for replacements. Looks like they're going to have to replace a lot of guys. Brandon Davis says, can we talk about my Toronto FC or the lack there of transfers? Toronto FC is a mess. They've been a mess for 3 or 4 years now. Actually, they've been a mess since Greg Vanney left in 2021. I don't know what they're going to do. When Lorenzo Insigne officially leaves and they can actually replace him and spend more wisely on a DP, that I think is when they will start to blossom once again. But until then, they are stuck in purgatory and they are in trouble. We have 72 people live watching right now. If you haven't, smash the like button down below and share with a friend. Let's grow the audience as much as we can. Jay says, I'm high on Russell Rowe, to be honest, so I don't think the Columbus needs a new DP striker, but maybe someone to support him, as Russell isn't a guy who can carry the load himself. I think they need to get 2 more guys, but we'll see what happens. Tristan says, what's your Eastern Conference top 5 predictions? I'm going to save that for the my prediction videos. Now, I did give the members in the members only chat yesterday a sneak peek of what I'm thinking is going to happen, but I'm going to save that for the prediction video, which should be out in about a week or 2. It'll be out probably a couple days before the season starts. We're going to save that. Arturo says, do you think the Crew is one of the teams interested in Rollheiser, or who do you think can realistically sign him? I'm not exactly sure if they're interested in him. Because they're selling a bunch of guys and they're not really replacing any of them quickly. They're just they're just fire selling like 3 or 4 guys that are rumored to be on the way out, and they haven't really signed anybody this offseason. So I don't really know what their plan is or the way they're executing it so far, but we still have a couple weeks. So we'll see what happens with them. Mr. Mister says Toronto need to get rid of Insigne before they do anything else. And yes, they need to get rid of him ASAP. He's the biggest bust in MLS history, in my opinion. It's not even close. $15 million a year, and he can't even make the playoffs one time. And he doesn't do anything to help propel his team to success at all. Okay, let's move on to another transfer that is now official that we talked about a lot lately. We talked a latte about this, and it's Emmanuel Latte Lath. He's officially signing with Atlanta United. He costs $22 million plus add-ons. He is now the most expensive transfer in MLS history. Incoming transfer, that is. Breaking the previous record that was only set for like maybe a month or two in Kevin Danke. And this is crazy. You know how I feel about this transfer because, I mean, 21.25 million euros. Kevin Danke was 15.3 million euros. And he's 2 years younger than Emmanuel Latte Lath. Look, it's happened. It is what it is now. There's nothing we can do about it. He is the new DP signing for Atlanta United. I'm going to give him a chance, but there are going to be high expectations on this guy. He's going to be expected to be one of the best players in MLS. He's going to be expected to come in here and ball out from day one. He's going to have to score a bunch of goals. Now, this is a thing that I've been talking with a couple friends, and there's been a hotly contested debate, and I want to know what you guys think. With Emmanuel Latte Lath costing $22 million plus add-on, so it could go up to $28 million, I want the chat to tell me, how many goals does he have to score in 2025 to not be considered a bust? How many goals does Emmanuel Latte Lath have to score in 2025 to not be considered a bust for Atlanta United? Now, obviously, he's got the service of Miranchuk. He's got the service of Miguel Almiron, who's back. He's got, what's his name? The Albanian winger, Saba. He's got Saba, who's very good. How many goals does he have to score in order to not be considered a bust? $30 million is what he cost. Now, John says 15. I think that's a little too low just because, 15 goals for 30 million. I think you could have found that for a cheaper cost personally. I think he's got to score a little bit more than that. Mr. Mister says he needs to be in contention for the Golden Boot. I'd say around 20 goals. Jonathan Link says 20. John says 15 at least. Tyler says he needs to score 20 with at least 8 plus assists. Jay says Latte Lath needs to score 20 goals and like 8 assists for his price, especially with his support around him as well. Cute Kenny says 27. Ryan Hernan says 15 goals with 6 to 8 assists. Jonathan Miranda says 17 to 18 goals and 5 plus assists would be a good first season start off. Cringe says he needs to be in a contention for the Golden Boot minimum. I am Sebi says let's see. He says he'll be the number 1 striker in the league. He better be for that price. Isaac says honestly expect a lot of assists due to his pace and skills. John says you said not to be bust first year 15 then 20 plus in year 2 with Atlanta. Okay. I think that he has to score at least 20 goals in his first season. And I know that that's a lot of goals, but when you're paying that kind of money, he's got to be consistent. He's got to hit the ground running. This isn't like an 18 or 19. This guy's 26 years old. You're paying for goals, right? You're paying for production. That's why you're spending all this money on him. I think he's going to have to score a minimum of 20 goals in year 1, and he's probably going to have 5 to 6 assists. I'm not this big on the assists. But he's got to score at least 20 goals, especially with the service that they're giving him, and they're going to make him the focal point of the attack. He's got to score 20 goals in his first year. He should score 20 goals in his first year with that service. Joveljic scored 19 goals, and this guy is way more talented than Joveljic, and he's got better service around him than it's probably close. That's debatable, I guess. It's not worse though. It's not worse service with Almiron and Miranchuk and Saba around him. So he's going to have great service especially for MLS standards. He's got to score 20 goals in his first year. That's just what I believe. I think he's got to score 20 goals. Ryan Hernan says 15 in MLS, 20 in all competitions. I think he's got to score 20 in MLS. And now, if he gets hurt, obviously that will play a factor. if he gets injured, that will definitely change the equation. But if he plays in 27 plus games this year, he has to score 20 goals. He has to score 20 goals because Kevin Danke with Cincinnati is going to score a bunch of goals, and he cost 7-8 million. I'm going to be comparing these two guys in 2025. I'm going to be comparing them directly to see who has a better season because of the tags that they cost and what they did in their previous league. Mo Football, good friend of the show, says, "Yo, Mo, appreciate you for stopping by. We're talking about your boy, Emmanuel Latte Lath tonight, talking about what he has to do in order to be considered, how many goals he has to score to not be considered a bust in 2025, at least in the first year." Jay says, "That service is top 5 league caliber in a weak defensive league. There's no excuses for less than 20 goals. I agree. He's got to score 20 goals. I believe he's got to score 20 goals in 2025 to not be considered a bust." Guys, we're at 29 likes. Let's get to 50 likes. We're so close. 21 likes away. Hit the like button down below if you haven't already. Share with a friend and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're only 4 subscribers away from 5,600. We're so close. Let's hit that by the end of the night. But more importantly, get those likes up on the stream. We are 21 away from 50. Let's hit that before the halfway point. Now, let's move on to this other signing that happened that was announced today. Which is Marko Pasalic, if I'm not mistaken how you pronunciation, 24-year-old Croatian international. Orlando City just recently signed him. Looks like this is going to be the replacement for Facundo Torres. Paid 4.8 million euros for him. He's only 24 years old. Pretty interesting signing. Now, is he going to be better than Facundo Torres? Probably not off the rip. But based on what I've seen, and John can attest to this or speak more on this, covering the Orlando side, he seems like he is a pretty highly rated player, someone that they feel really good about. He's already got 5 appearances for the Croatian national team. They bought him from Rijeka, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. That was where A. Bear was from when he went to New York City FC, and we know how good he was. He plays in the Croatian league. He had 10 goals in 49 appearances. He played for the Borussia Dortmund Academy and the Stuttgart Academy. He was born in Germany, but I think he's from he's Croatian descent. That's why he plays for the Croatian national team. So he could have played either way. But they paid almost $5 million. He's a DP, 3 years. This is an interesting signing. This is another signing that I think that MLS needs to make more of. Get some of these non-top 5 leagues in Europe a chance to come in MLS, improve themselves, maybe play well, and get a better move in Europe. John says, he's line emojis. His numbers aren't amazing, but he's a quality player. Was on the Croatian national team for Euro 2024. Yeah, no, I think he could be good. I think that he can obviously come. This is a step up. I think that MLS is definitely a better league than the Croatian league. He can come over here, get some minutes, develop, blossom, and maybe get a move back to Europe. It's a 3-year deal, like I said. They spent 5 million euros for him. So, I mean, obviously he wasn't cheap. Now, like I don't know if he'll be better than Facundo Torres because Facundo Torres was very, very good. And, Facundo Torres had some big shoes to fill because he was replacing Nani, and Nani was very good for Orlando City when he played there. But this looks like a good signing for Orlando City. I'll be curious to see what he can do. And this is nice to see. A lot of teams are signing replacements. They're not just selling people and they're just not replacing them. I'm glad that they're trying to replace players that they're losing. And for someone like this, because of his price tag, I'm not expecting him to blow up and just destroy the league in year one. But I am expecting him to be a key contributor at some point in year one for Orlando City SC. Brother of Mario Pasalic. Oh, nice. Orlando City likes to buy guys like this, falling through the gaps for a good price. Still trying to get Atuesta. Also, yes, that's another thing. Appreciate you for reminding me of that. Eduardo Atuesta obviously plays for Palmeiras right now. And he originally played for LAFC, and he went to Palmeiras, didn't really break through. And then he was on loan with LAFC last year. And I know they're trying to get something situated to where they can buy him for Orlando City. And I want to say that the fee was around 3 to 4 million, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see if they can get that through. Now, Atuesta had an up and down season last year for LAFC. I don't know if he necessarily fit the style of play at LAFC like he did when he played with Bob Bradley. There's a lot of people debating about what happened to Atuesta. Did Palmeiras break him as a player? Is he just, skittish now? Or, is he the same guy? Either way, I think that Orlando City would be a good fresh start for him, and it'd be interesting to see what he can do with Orlando City if they are able to buy him and get that fee situated. So this is a good move. I do like this. Depending on the cost, I do like the move for him going from Palmeiras to Orlando City. I think he will start day one, and I think that would be a solid move. John Rollins says Cartagena is out for a long time, would be a good replacement. Yeah, no, I think that he'll start, and I'll be curious to see how he would play under Oscar Pereira. And I think he's a solid piece. Like, he's good in MLS. He is definitely good. He had some good showings with LAFC. He just wasn't consistent enough, but LAFC had a lot of talent in the midfield, a lot of good players. And I'm not saying Orlando City doesn't, but I think that he will be more established, and he will be more probably consistent when he goes to Orlando City. So I actually like that move quite a bit. I think that could be a good move in 2025 for them if they can get the right price. Now, there was another move that was pretty shocking that a lot of people got caught off guard. It was Jack McGlynn getting traded for the Philadelphia Union to the Houston Dynamo for $2.1 million. That was an interesting trade or transfer, new mechanism, however you want to say it. Jack McGlynn, I thought, was surely destined to go play in Europe. I thought when he left the Union, he was going to go to Europe like Paxton Aronson did, like Brendan Aronson did, didn't matter what league it was, Eredivisie, the Austrian league, the Belgian league, whatever it may be, he was going to, or the championship like Aiden Morrison, he was destined for Europe after he left the Union. But he goes to Houston instead. And I think based on the reporting, their offers were honestly not far off from the European teams. There were teams, I think, in England and Belgium interested in him, but for some reason they decided to sell him to Houston instead. So he was sold to Houston for $2.1 million. Philadelphia also retained a sell-on percentage for any future transfer, as well as potentially receiving a further $1.3 million if certain performance-based metrics are met. Now, Jack McGlynn obviously is going to replace Carrasquilla, who was sold to Pumas a couple weeks ago. He's going to start for the Houston Dynamo, which he was already starting for the Union. I don't know what the hell the Union are doing, honestly. They're in a rebuild too right now. But he's going to start for Houston. He's going to be in a different environment. He's probably going to ball out, even though I don't really trust Ben Olsen to really get the most out of him. I still think that Jack McGlynn is good enough to get the job done. So he's going to go to Houston. He's going to hopefully flourish. He'll probably be there for maybe a year max and then get the sell to a European team. It just feels like a weird stopgap, honestly. But what do you guys think? Do you think the Jack McGlynn trade was kind of weird? I mean, I thought he was destined to go to Europe after the Union were ready to move off of him, or he was ready to move into a new club. Are you guys surprised that Jack McGlynn moved to Houston instead of Europe? Let me know down below. Also, the fee was kind of low. I don't think the fee was nearly as good as what it should have been. $2 million is very, very low. I mean, they probably could have sold him for $4 to $5 million they could have sold him for $4 to $5 million to a European team if they wanted to. So I don't understand. I don't understand why they took the cheap route or sold him to Houston instead of trying to sell him for more and get him that move. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that was a good move or not? There's also been a rumor that Inter Miami is supposedly trying to buy this young striker from this Ecuadorian striker, Alan Obando from Barcelona SC. Now they're saying that there's competition with Atletico Madrid for him. He's 18 years old. They're saying it's a $3 million bid. This is kind of a weird move because they only have one U22 spot available. And I don't know if this is what they would want to use it on. I think they would probably use it on a winger like Baltasar Rodriguez, which is who they've been rumored to be signing for quite a while now. I think that this would be a really, really weird move Hold on, sorry, am I not sharing this right now? Okay, yeah, I am sharing that. This would be a very, very weird move, in my opinion. I don't think that they're going to do this, but maybe they can if they don't have to use a U22 spot on. But that $3 million bid, the $3 million fee would almost certainly make it to where he would be a U22. But I guess it depends on what his salary is, because the salary gets averaged with the fee, and if it's over a certain criteria, then maybe they could buy him down with TAM or GAM, and he wouldn't be a DP. But this is a little bit of a weird move. Not exactly sure if they will get that done. And I don't know how much he helps them. Maybe everybody's trying to chase that next John Duran, because John Duran obviously was sold to Al Nassr for a crazy, crazy fee recently. Um, he was sold for a very, very crazy fee after the Chicago Fire only bought him for 1.7 million. 1.7 million, and then sold him to Aston Villa for almost 30 million. And then he got sold to Al Nassr for 77 million euros. So maybe they're just trying to chase the next John Duran, hoping that they can get a young striker with a lot of potential, have them blossom, and then sell them for a crazy fee. We'll see if they're able to do that, but I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily the move. Trying to think if there's any other transfer rumors that we forgot to touch on. Let's see. I think there was one more, if I'm not mistaken, that we needed. Oh, Lucho Acosta. Yeah, so Lucho Acosta reportedly is being sold to Estudiantes of the the Argentine league for like 5 million euros. They're just trying to get the transfer fee situate, or the salary situated on what they would pay him. And I saw that the journalist Lauren, her last name is escaping me right now. She covers Cincinnati locally. That she came out with an article tonight talking about FC Cincinnati, what had happened with Lucho Acosta, why he wanted out, what's going on with his personal life, or whatever it may be. So I haven't read that yet, but that supposedly has some more inside information. They have him training by himself right now, but it looks like Lucho Acosta is going to leave for sure. FC Cincinnati, I don't think they're just trying to get some stuff figured out and trying to get some of the details worked out on his contract before he leaves officially. But it looks like Lucho Acosta will be leaving FC Cincinnati officially sooner rather than later. And I would expect them to go for Evander, because I don't think Evander is going to stay with Portland. Whenever they can officially sign or get rid of Lucho Acosta, free up that DP spot, I believe that they are going to make a play for Evander from Portland. And Evander was very good for Portland last year. Having him with Kevin Denke is going to be scary duo for FC Cincinnati. Mr. Mister says, since he will probably go, for more Evander. Yes, I think that they will go for Evander. I think that's going to happen. And he is a great replacement for Lucho Acosta in Cincinnati. And I think that is going to be, honestly, like, they're not going to even skip a beat. They're going to be just as good as they were in the season before. So we will see what happens with that. That honestly might be an upgrade, even though I have a lot of respect for Cucho Hernandez, or excuse me, Lucho Acosta. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for him, but I just think that Evander he's 4 years younger. He's really good with Portland. Portland really didn't have a lot to work with, and they had Phil Neville. Phil Neville's terrible. He's a terrible coach. Pat Noonan's a better coach than Phil Neville, and so I think that he could really thrive underneath him. And I think that him with Kevin Denke would be very, very good. So we will see what happens and see if that is something that goes through, if they are able to offload Cucho Hernandez and get him sold to Estudiantes or whoever is interested in buying him in 2025. Trying to think if there's anything else we missed. I think we touched on everything. Let's talk about this for a second, because I think this is interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this report or this Opta analyst saying that that MLS is currently they are the 9th best league in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 9th best league in the world. They haven't get ahead of the championship, the Argentine league, the Eredivisie, the Liga MX, the Turkish league. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I definitely don't think MLS is number 9 right now. I think that the Premier League is better. Obviously, Serie A, all the top 5 leagues are better. The Brazilian league is better than MLS right now. The Portuguese league is better. Belgian league's better. Championship is better. Argentine league, I don't think is better because of it's really weak at the bottom. But the Eredivisie is better. Liga MX is better. The Turkish league is better. Um, I would say MLS is probably the 12th or 13th best league in MLS right now. Based on that's just my opinion. I don't think it's number 9 right now. I think it could be by the end of next year in 2026. But as things currently stand, I don't think MLS is top 10. I think it's around 12 or 13. A lot of better leagues, especially with better clubs, top end clubs. I don't think it's better. I definitely don't think it's better than the Eredivisie right now. Let's see. Jay says teams below us, Argentina, Liga MX, Dutch, are at least above us, in my opinion, and Turkey. What determines team power rating? I don't know how they determine how they got these metrics on how they how they rank the leagues. I'm not exactly sure how they got the data. That's another reason why I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, Liga MX and MLS are close, but I still would put it above us. And the Eredivisie is definitely better. Some people think the Eredivisie might be the 6th or 7th best league in the world. So I don't know how they have it so far down. They have it at like what, 15? Or yeah, like 14 or 15 in the world. There's just no way that's that low. I think MLS gets raised higher due to the fact our floor is a lot higher than most leagues. Now that is true. The floor is higher in MLS, but the top is not as high. So I mean, it is a very well-rounded league. Obviously, there's a lot of good. There's the bottom isn't as far from the top as other leagues, but our top is not nearly as good as most of these leagues. Like most of these leagues' best teams are better than our best teams. Arturo, they need to allow more spending in MLS to solidify themselves. I definitely agree with that. But we're beating a dead horse. I don't know when that's going to happen. Jace Collins says they determine it by club level. They rank every club on a rating of 100 and then average the league out. Well, that could help because the MLS's bottom, their floor isn't as low, but I still think that they're not better than their Eredivisie, and they're not better than the Championship. They're not better than the Liga MX. They're not better than the Turkish League. I still think they have a way to go as far as that. That's just my opinion. But I think we're going to end it there tonight. I think we touched on all the transfer rumors. I appreciate you guys stopping by tonight. Really hope you like these live streams. We went 45 minutes tonight. So if you like the show, please smash the like button down below. We're trying to get to 100 likes. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, hit the little bell notification so you never miss any of my streams or my videos. Also, if you haven't, consider being a member of the channel. It helps us out. It's 10 cents a day. So we do some perks for like members only chats, members only streams. There are a lot of perks and it helps us make the content. So consider being a member. There's a link down below. Really appreciate it. And we will do another one of these streams next week. There might be a new video tomorrow out at 6 p.m. Eastern. I haven't decided yet, but there will be another stream until we're going to do a stream every night until the season ends, or excuse me, the season begins. We're going to do a stream every week talking about all the moves and all the transfers. Let's see. Mr. Richard says the thing with the Eredivisie is take away Ajax, PSV, and Feyenoord. What else is there? Yeah, it's a very low league when you take them away, but you have to consider those teams. Those teams are very good. And I think that they definitely help elevate the league quite a bit. Jay says, I personally think we are on par with the championship. We'll find out and see what Latte Lath does before and then we'll determine how good they are. But anyways, I appreciate you guys for stopping by tonight. Like the stream. We will be back soon. Stay tuned. And there might be a video tomorrow. If there is, it'll be out at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Love you all. Have a good night. Until next time, I will see you all soon.